Hi folks, I'm David from Texas Gun Pros, and I'm going to give you just some hints about how to operate or load and operate a semi-automatic handgun. These should help you prior to coming to class. First, I'm going to talk about loading a magazine, and I'm using dummy cartridges, no live ammunition while we're doing this kind of practice. And I'm going to show you the method that I use to load a magazine. Now, one of the things that's very important to understand about loading your magazine is that the cartridges must go in the right order. It's very easy to load them backwards, like this. But if you load them backwards, they won't feed into the gun properly. So, how do you know what's the right way to go? First, most of the magazines, if you set them on a table, you'll notice they slant forward. Most semi-automatic magazines have a flat place in the back and a rounded in the front. So, if you'll remember, pointy end of the bullet goes to the pointy end of the magazine, you'll get it loaded correctly. Now you're going to have to push the cartridge down in front of these tabs that hold the cartridge in. And there's a strong spring pushing up against you in here, which is what feeds the cartridges up into the handgun. So you push down into the follower against that spring and slide the cartridge back. First one might be pretty easy. The next one though, you're going to have a round cartridge on top of a round cartridge. So when you start pushing, this is going to want to roll off. You're going to have to figure out how to make it not do that. I do it like this. I hold the cartridge between my thumb and my forefinger with my right hand, and then using my left thumb, I help push down to get leverage and then slide it back. Okay, here's the next one. They are going to get harder and harder as you go through that, but that's the basic process for loading the cartridges into the magazine. Now let's talk about loading the gun. The first step in that process is locking back the slide. The slide is this top part of the gun. It's called a slide because it slides back and forth on rails. In order to properly load the gun, in fact, in order to set the gun on the table at the gun range safely, the slide must be locked back. Now this is a process of pushing the slide all the way back, and when it gets back, pushing a little mechanism called a slide lock up into a notch. So I push the slide back, I push this up, and it's locked back. Hold the gun in your shooting hand, the grip of the gun, always. Don't be swapping hands. You know what'll happen if you start doing this all the time? You'll drop the gun when you need it the most. And also, if you'll practice keeping your shooting hand, your strong hand on the grip while you're loading and everything that you need to do to manipulate the gun, then you're going to be a whole lot less likely to be having a delay or getting confused if you're defending yourself. Okay? Now, you can grasp the gun at the back, use the heel of your hand and your fingers like this, and push this way while you're pushing this way with your other hand. Don't try to do this way out away from your body. Pull it in close to you, and as long as you're keeping the barrel of the gun pointed down range, it's okay to turn your body 90 degrees to the range so that you can see what you're doing. Push it back and lock it. You can use the front of the slide. Some guns have grooves or serrations like this on the front to help you. But one thing you want to avoid is putting your hand over this opening, the port, because that will pinch your hand very badly right here if you do that. Now, how do you get the gun ready to shoot? Well, you've loaded the magazine, hold the gun in your shooting hand, start the magazine into the grip, flatten your hand like this so it won't be curved around here. That will pinch your hand very badly if you do that. Pop it in, then either pinch the slide like this or reach across like this and pull it back and let it go. Don't ease it forward, okay? Easing it forward will often cause the gun not to go fully into battery. See how that did that? Or to jam. You want to pull it back and let it go. The other thing I want you to avoid is don't use this little mechanism that we call a slide lock as a slide release. In other words, don't put your hand here and do this to put the gun in battery. Why? Because, number one, if you do that often enough, these little square notches here on your gun will wear off and they'll become smooth, and the gun won't lock back when it needs to, like when it's empty. The other thing is, for every gun you pick up, You'd have to learn a different place where the slide release is if that's the method you're going to use. But if you'll get used to doing them like this, it doesn't matter. Just reach across the frame and turn it loose. It works on any handgun you pick up. You don't have to learn where the different slide release or slide lock mechanisms are.